Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, Mindset Mojo mentor, intentional living guide, and publisher of Aspire Magazine, the premier inspirational digital magazine for women since 2006. I'm also the creatrix of Inspired Living University, a sacred curriculum and community for women on the path of self-discovery. You can learn more at inspiredlivinguniversity.com. Today we're going to be diving into one of my most favorite topics, joy. My special guest, Michelle Burke, is here to talk about joy gems and happy hormones and to remind us all that it is possible to experience joy even in the midst of our toughest challenges. You'll learn simple and practical ways to ignite and inspire joy in your life. Michelle is a sought-after leadership coach, facilitator, speaker, and founder and CEO of Energy Catalyst Group, a consulting and training company for well-being. Over her 20-year career, she gained a deep appreciation and perspective, working with people and cultures from all walks of life. She has trained thousands of participants to make positive change, bridging communication gaps, getting in the way of a thriving workplace, and a joy-filled life. Her mindfulness coaching helps women to be empowered and promoted into leadership roles. She's the author of The Valuable Office Professional and co-author of 15-Minute Pause, a radical reboot for busy people. She has partnered with an extraordinary artist to create joy cards, as well as personology games and Team Builder, a card game to build collaboration. We'll be talking about so much more with Michelle. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Linda. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I've spent some time on your website, and when I heard about these joy cards, of course, I was instantly like, what? What is this? Because I talked a lot about joy and gratitude and intention with my audience for a long time now. And I always love to start my conversations off with asking my guest what their pivotal moment was in their own personal journey that led them to the transformational work they're doing, that led you to this, to being a spreader of joy.
Oh, well, it's a great question. It's a long time journey is what I would say. One of the first pivotal moments, gosh, it's taken me back many years. I would say losing a loved one, a family member, and unexpectedly. She was my bonus mom at 54 years old. And that moment changed with the way I look at life, the way I live my life, how important relationships are versus how important it was just to make money or do a job. And that was definitely one of many pivotal moments.
I can only imagine, especially when you lose someone that had such an impact in your life. Also, I read that even during the pandemic, you had like some ahas. So let's talk about that.
Yes. So my collaborator and co-author, Lalamani, and I, like most people, when we all went into lockdown, I got COVID, a bad case of it, and Lalamani was taking care of her elderly parents. And we were both really struggling and stressed out by the news and by the pandemic. And we were really searching to figure out what could we do to help ourselves and also find a way to help others. And out of that came joy cards. We thought, let's figure out a way to get back to doing the things that we love each day. And we challenged each other. And in doing so, we came up with these joyful activities and hope that they will spread joy for others as well.
I love that, through a dark time, you started focusing on the light, right? And that's what I talk to a lot of my clients on is we've all gone through tough times, but we have to stay focused on where we want to go, not where we are. If we want to find joy, happiness, inner peace, is that what you discovered for yourself too during that process?
I think it's been, yes, I think it's been an ongoing journey, and sometimes we lose sight of it. Like you have it and then you forget because
Yeah.
because too much time has gone by, or you've been so stressed out or overwhelmed or in grief or whatever it is that you're going through, that you lose sight of the little things, the small things, the simple things that actually do bring you joy. So that was one of our reasons, was to start there, with the small things.
Oh, I think that's such an important message because I've been on this spiritual development path for 30 years, and I call it recalibrating, right? Because life is always coming at us.
Yeah.
But even though I know I want to stay in joy, we'll use that topic for example. Life happens. We're human, and
Hmm.
we forget um, our own rituals and processes. So what I love about your cards is you provide them little they're tidbits that you can do in a moment, like the handmade gift, right? Cook up a storm. Like
Hmm.
I love that you can grab one and go, I'm going to bring some joy into my life. And it was that way your focus was let's make this so simple that even in the greatest overwhelm, they can say yes to joy.
Yes, exactly right, Linda. That was the intention, was to create it so that it was simple, and that we could give ourselves permission, right? Like in many ways, these cards give you permission to go for it, to go ahead and have a little joy in your life. Even if it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes can make a big difference.
Yeah, it's an energy recalibration. That's what it is for me. So,
Mm.
as you went through these transition, the loss of your bonus mom, and then of course, recovering from COVID and everything you just shared with us, was it like a personal, like a manifesto, like this is it? I need more joy in my life because you were feeling disconnected.
That was a big part of it, absolutely. And I think like a lot of people, isolation, it was a big, huge aspect of going through lockdown, and connecting via Zoom, or in ways that we weren't accustomed to. And and again, being in anxiety or fear and uncertainty was part of all of that. And Lalamini and I were really wanting to get back to what we knew. It's like I think our soul knows what joy is, and so it's a reminder to go, oh, wait a minute. I forgot. I really love when I have my morning cup of coffee, or I love taking a walk, and that brings me joy, right? It's like rediscovering those things that bring you joy and cultivating it in a more intentional way.
Yes, and one thing I'm sure you discovered as I have, from joy comes inner peace,
Yeah.
right? Because we can't feel peaceful when we are so wrapped up in our fears and our thoughts and anxiety and transparency. I've shared this for decades on my shows. I struggled with severe anxiety and depression for 35 years of my life, so
Mm,
I can easily go there if I wasn't consciously careful, right?
yeah.
And have these rituals. So I so get that. And then once I discovered my path to peace, it's like I will do all my little things to stay in that place. And joy is a big one. But of course, life happens. We forget sometimes. And that's when we go back to recalibration. Um, I'm really curious as you came to this kind of like don't want to speak for you, but like this awareness, this spiritual awareness of you needed more joy in your life. You've been in corporate America with the Energy Catalyst Group and a leadership coach, facilitator, etc. for, a long time. How was it? How did it feel to start bringing that into corporate America? And have you?
Yes, I have. And I think that's one of the things, it's interesting, especially as a coach. One of the big aspects that I am working with clients about is helping them become more aware of where they are. I think we're in an epidemic of stress, right? The Stress America report came out just recently. I don't know if you're aware of this, but 87% of Americans right now are highly stressed. And most of them aren't aware of it, like how stressed we actually are. And so, really looking at finding ways for people to tap back into the things that bring them joy, that are more around caring for themselves in a compassionate and loving way. And I think sometimes that sounds kind of airy-fairy in the corporate world. In reality, though, we're still all human beings working,
Yes.
and we all need to take a pause, and we all need to take a moment to be self-reflective, to see where we are and what we can do differently so that we can have more, not just joy, but like you just said, peace and calm.
Yes, and I think too, for corporations and for leaders, they have to understand that their team, their employees are in that stress level. And for them to have compassion and give their teams the tools and the support to help them navigate these changing times, they have to change and support. This is my belief. They have to change and support their teams if they want the results that they've had, because everyone is burnt out.
Yes, 100%. I mean, yeah, exactly right. And burnout is such finally, the World Health Organization has deemed it like a problem in the business world. So that gives a lot more credibility to employees who feel that they are either on the road to burnout or actually already in burnout. And finding joy, there's a lot of our cards in particular that will help people who are feeling stressed or in burnout to reduce that and to help them lower their stress levels and increase what I call the happy hormones in our brain, which is pivotal to getting out of burnout over the long term.
Such an important topic, my friend. And we're going to take a quick break. And I want to invite everyone to please visit energycatalyst.com/joy-cards to learn more all about this beautiful deck. Wait till you see the artwork. We're going to be talking about that more when we come back. So visit the website, and we'll be back in a moment, my friends.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Inspiration for a Woman's Soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire Magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. With me today is Michelle Burke, co-author of The Joy Cards. And we're talking today about joy gems, happy hormones, stress, overwhelm, burnout, and finding your way back to joy. And I can tell you from someone that's faced many challenges in my life, it is possible. It is possible. You guys have been following me in my show for a long time now. You know a lot of my story. You know joy is one of my most favorite topics. So I'm so excited to have you here today, Michelle.
Thank you, Linda. I'm really excited to be here. This is really a treat.
So one of the things that you teach and share and believe in is that joy is an inside job. And I so believe that, but I'd love to hear your insights around that.
So, it's in doing our research, we discovered that joy and happiness are different. And many of us think they're one and the same. And the way I kind of talk about it in the simple terms is that happiness is temporary and joy is long lasting. Because joy is something you have to cultivate from the inside out. And that means that we have to be more self-reflective to figure out what is it that fills us up. What is it that really brings that peace to us, the calm, the energy, right? And maybe it's something like gardening, getting in the dirt and getting your hands in the dirt. That's the thing that you just absolutely love and you lose yourself in it, right? That's joy. That fills you up. Nothing can take that away from you. Happiness, on the other hand, is something that, you get your raise or you get a new car, and after a while, it sort of slips away, that feeling of it, right? And so that's why we think joy is more powerful and something that we all need to cultivate on a daily basis.
So funny. And remember we were talking off air, that word cultivate joy to me, that's the topic of one of the books I published. There's power just in that word cultivate, right? Doesn't it feel empowering that it's in our hands to find the daily things to do? So for me, that really resonated with what you said. So I'm curious, what is it? What are joy gems?
I love that. Joy gems, first of all, we just made that up, right? The term.
But I love it. It resonates.
Yeah, we were trying to find something that people could relate to. So thank you for saying that it does. It's really the simple pleasures in our life. So it could be something as simple as that hot cup of coffee in the morning, or a good night's sleep, or hearing your child laugh out loud, where it just, that sense of that comes from within, and you just, all of a sudden, you've just got this big smile on your face of just pure bliss and enjoyment. And that's what the joy gems are. And we go through our lives taking many of those moments for granted. We lose sight of them because of all the other things that are going on in our lives. And so we're suggesting, and the joy cards have a way of being able to remind you, oh, that's right. I love my cup of coffee in the morning. I'm just going to savor it and taste it and enjoy it, rather than just drink it up to get my day started.
Oh, I remember those days. I can so relate. So what I'm also hearing too is on my path, I used to wait for happiness to come, right? Like when this happens, I'll be happy or joyful.
Yeah.
And what you teach and what your cards really support is, why are you waiting for something outside yourself? It's within you.
Yes.
And do you
That's right.
find that many struggle, I'll be happy or joyful when this?
Yes. And that exactly what you just said is why it doesn't happen. Because we're always waiting. We're always waiting for something. And that's where I call it the happiness trap, when we're waiting and then we do get it. Let's say you save up for something like a car or a piece of jewelry or whatever it is, a house, and then you get it. And then after a few months, you've forgotten about it. Now you want something else. And so that doesn't make us joyful. It actually, in some ways, can counter that. And so joy is not about getting things. It's about filling ourselves up with what has meaning.
Exactly. That's how it feels like to me. And what's beautiful is it's not outside ourselves, really.
That's
So
right.
even though we're doing the joy cards, we're an active participant,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
In whatever it may be. Like think of it. Even this is something I had to do. I have never been a cook. Ask my honey. 27 years, we go out to eat a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I used to kind of get a little stressed when it was time for supper. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I had that script in my mind. And then I switched it about, I don't know, maybe a decade ago of, you know what? You're just going to be in the moment of preparation without judgment, and you're just going to be present. But I was making up stories that were taking away my joy for every meal.
Yeah.
So it's something as simple as that, right? Really looking at the things that are taking your joy away so that you can shift them. Have you
Right.
noticed that too, is we have a lot of joy stealers in our life?
Oh my gosh. I love that term, by the way. Yes.
It's yours, you can take it.
I know. Well, you know what's interesting about that? It's because because we're all so busy being busy,
Yes.
that the minute you tell somebody else about something that you did that was really joyful, other people are like, oh, it's instead of it being praised and celebrated and acknowledged, it's more like, well, how did you manage that? Or, wow, I can't believe you were able to find the time. I'm just so busy. I've got all these other things. I've got more important things to do than take a hot bath or, right. And we've got in my mind, I believe we have our values mixed up, because the point of living, my father said this to me many, many years ago. He said, it's not about surviving, Michelle, it's about thriving. And I didn't get it when he said it. I was just completely like, And now I really understand it. It's what you said earlier, being intentional about your life and what has meaning to you. And it's different for everybody. That's why the joy cards have all different, they're in 4 different categories, right? So we designed it in a way that allows people to maybe rediscover what's joyful for them, or try something new that they have never done before, that they go, oh wow, I really enjoy that. you know
I can feel this so deeply. And you're right, because when we share something with someone who hasn't given themselves permission to experience joy, they don't get it, because they can't even imagine creating space in their life for joy. But I believe we have to lead by example, right? And create a
Yes.
ripple effect. So something my clients said, they knew what my family had gone through last year. And I actually was doing a hashtag seeing the blessings. It was actually end of 2019. And they witnessed me in a challenging situation with my honey's health, staying in joy, staying. And I was only sharing on social media because I needed to be able to tap into joy in every moment and stay in gratitude despite what was going on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So by sharing the journey with truth and vulnerability, I had so many women reach out, Michelle, going, may I share this post with my sister who's going through breast cancer, or this one? It was, it's okay to see the blessings in the midst of the bullshit.
Yes.
They are still there. It's okay to find joy, even when you're struggling with something heavy, like the loss of your bonus mom, or your partner's, struggles with her elderly parent.
Right.
There's still joy in the middle of all of that, but we are kind of brainwashed to focus only on the pain in our lives. And it's almost like the horse with the blinders on. I grew up with horses. So isn't it kind of like that? We shut out our own joy, and that breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, Lalamini and I took a time when we were looking at what these activities could be, because we do know, like you were just saying, that because it's different for everybody, and giving that permission to allow ourselves to say, it's okay to feel joyful even when I'm in this pain. It's okay to have a moment where I can laugh out loud, or I can do something that makes me feel good in spite of the stress or the anxiety or the fear or the grief. It doesn't mean that it's easy to do it. It just means that you're living a whole life, and not just in the darkness of it.
Yeah. And for me, as someone that knows what it feels like to feel in that energy of overwhelm and darkness, we can lose ourselves if we don't have something to help us focus on some kind of light in our lives.
Yes.
I think it's key. And I also believe, for those, not everyone still has children in their lives, but I have grandchildren now. One's 23 and one's 10. And I've healed a lot of aspects of myself because of being a grandmother, to say, no, we're going to be a role model of joy, of love, and passion, of non-judgment, right? So that I can be that beacon. The more I focused on creating a ripple of effect in my life that would affect others, whether it's my team, my audience, or my family, it helped me find even more joy in my life.
Well, what you just described, and it's one of the sayings that Alamani and I talk about. We always say joy is contagious, and that's really what you're talking about. It is. When it's like when you walk into a room and people are laughing, and it's like, oh, what's going on in here? You want to be part of it. You want to know what's everybody laughing at? What's going on? Right? Like and when you're joyful, that spreads to the next person, whether you're on a phone call, whether you're in a meeting, whether you're out at the grocery store. That energy spreads out. And what a beautiful thing. And we need more of that right now.
Oh, yes, we do, my friend. We're going to take another break. When we come back, I want to dive deeper into this topic with you. So I'm with Michelle Burke, co-author of The Joy Cards. You can learn more at energycatalyst.com/joy-cards. Be sure to check them out, grab your deck, and start incorporating joy in each of your days. We'll be back in a moment.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Are you ready to create and live the divinely guided life intended for you? A life not bound by your past or tied to a specific future. A life beyond your fears and what-ifs that is filled with limitless possibilities. Experiencing an empowered life of fulfillment, joy, and connection is possible when you embrace a spiritual solutions-centered lifestyle. Through her transformational teachings and programs, Lisa Hermata, empowered life view guide, life transformation mentor, and founder of Love is the Seed, empowers women to break the barriers holding them back from living their sacred truth, so they can find greater connection with their inner wisdom and their divine source to co-create a life that brings peace, joy, and self-acceptance. Visit loveistheseed.com for positive guidance and valuable resources to support you in embracing an empowered life view.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity. wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Me, a cat moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
You're listening to Inspired Conversations. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're circling up with me and my special guest, Michelle Burke, sought-after leadership coach, facilitator, speaker, founder, and CEO of Energy Catalyst Group. And of course, the co-author of the Joy Cards. And speaking of co-authors, the artwork is spectacular. It pulls you in. It's beautiful. I'd love to know more about the artist and your partner on these cards.
Well, I'll tell you, Lalamini is a self-taught artist, and she is extraordinary. And when we were designing when we came up with the concept of Joy Cards, I had suggested that we use her paintings on the back of the cards. And she's very humble, and she was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, yes, we have to, because they're just gorgeous. And they bring you joy, just like you said. I mean, each of the cards have a unique, original painting, and they are, they're scenic. There's lots of flowers and bright colors, and it's just they are beautiful, and she is extraordinary.
And so she partnered with you on this, and it looks like she's partnered with you on a few other products too.
Yes, we've been working together for over 20 years. We met, it's a funny story. I mean, both of us are female entrepreneurs, and we met when we were in Seattle, Washington. I was there as a keynote for Microsoft's Worldwide Conference doing a training, and she was there working on a documentary for Discovery. And we got introduced, and we realized we had a whole lot in common, including a very loud laugh. And we immediately started, we became friends, and then we realized we had a mission that we both wanted to create products and do things that made a difference, a positive difference in people's lives, and connecting people was one of the ways.
And you created something called Personology Game?
Right. Personology Game is a card game that connects people in a really fun, unique way. It's a conversation game, and you end up learning these things that you would never learn about your friends, your loved ones, and even people you've never met before. And they're fun, wacky questions that you typically don't talk about with people. And that is one of the ways in which one of the products we've worked with. And another one that is more recent is our book, 15-Minute Pause. That one is something we also created together.
I wanted to talk about that because just the name, right? 15-minute pause. It sounds so doable as soon as you read it, because if you don't have 15 minutes, girl, to give yourself, then you don't have a life, right?
Oh my gosh. So true, Linda.
Well, I used to be one of them. Like, I don't have time. And then I finally said, I am pushing my life away. So I tell my friends, if you don't have, that block of time, then what life, where are you in your own life?
Right.
So the title, 15-minute pause, a radical reboot for busy people really spoke to me. So let's talk about that. What led you? It sounds like, again, from personal experience for the both of you. Is that what led you to
Yes.
create this?
Yes. And so we started that over 10 years ago. We had been talking about it. It came because I had been working with a lot of companies, and through the training programs, I was hearing people talking about how stressed out they were and that they didn't even have time to take a lunch break. You can imagine now it's even worse. But back then, that was a big part of the conversation. And I remember saying to Lamini, I said, gosh, we got to figure this out. We need to find a way to help people. I said, I know I'm feeling that way, like I'm struggling with finding time for myself. And Lamini was talking with a lot of her friends and same kind of a thing. And so this idea was, we decided to challenge each other to take 15 minutes each day doing one thing that we love. And she chose, now this is where it gets interesting and ties back to the joy cards. She picked up her paintbrushes again and started painting because she had stopped. And I started taking a walk out the door every day because my excuse was, I just don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to be out in nature. And so we just said, let's just do it for 15 minutes. That's it. And if we miss a day, we'll just remind each other and encourage each other to get back to the next day. And that's how it started. And then we started getting our friends to do the challenge. And that's how 15-minute pause came about.
Oh my God, I love this. So what came first? So did the book come before the joy cards?
Yes.
Okay, because you said that was 10 years ago and the joy cards are most recent.
Yes.
And then I have a question on the personology game. Is that something you also use in corporations for them to get to know each other, or is that more for families, friends, etc.?
It's both. We have a team builder product that's more designed for teams, but the personality could be used as an icebreaker in many ways. Some of the cards may or may not be as appropriate for the workplace because some of them are a little wacky and would probably be more suited for a party.
Well, it's great to know because, I have a brand, and once a month I bring women together, no cost. It's called Intentional Business Networking Circle, and all female entrepreneurs from around the world. And I'm always looking, this is why I'm asking actually. I'm always looking because when we do the breakout rooms, I believe in feminine marketing model. I believe in authenticity, intention, building relationships. So when they go in the breakout, I love to have questions that helps each entrepreneur, each woman get to know each other on a fun, deeper level, because I do business with women I connect with,
Yes.
right? I don't do business just by something written on a web page. So for 16 years, I've taught authenticity and authentic marketing. So that's why I was personally asking, like, ooh, I wonder if some of those could be for my networking. So I'll have to look into that, my friend.
I love that.
So we're going to take our final break, and then we'll be back for our final segment. We are talking about joy, happiness, finding inner peace even in the midst of chaos. And I am with Michelle Burke. You can learn more at energycatalyst.com/joy-cards. We'll be right back, my friends.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Do you struggle with what's next in your life or business journey? You hold the answers. It's time to go within so you can hear the wisdom of your own truth, unleash your unique power, and be confident in your next step. Sacred Possibilities mentor and spiritual advisor Kimberly Watipka empowers women and female entrepreneurs to embrace a life of wholehearted devotion to themselves and teaches them to live from the truth of their heart rather than other people's expectations, so they can awaken to what the flow of life wants to bring through them. She is a certified EFT practitioner with dual degrees in business and spiritual studies. She is honored to help women come home to themselves and take a stand for who they truly are. Kimberly invites you to learn more about her offerings at KimberlyWatipka.com.
Wellness and Personal Empowerment, a philanthropic organization. Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy. With me today is the extraordinary Michelle Burke. So what do you have planned coming up? I peeked at your website, so I see something, maybe some joy retreats coming.
That is true. We're looking at ways to bring the joy cards to life and create joy retreats where people can come and really experience joy in a way that they maybe haven't taken the time to do, and get them on, hopefully it's a jump start, if you will, right? Because sometimes you just need that kickstart, and with other women to do it with, and that makes it a whole lot easier. We suggest too the joy cards can be done with a friend. You know what I mean? Like you could, sometimes it helps to have somebody else with you on that joy journey.
Oh, I think so. I could see this I could see circles. We can talk about that off after our show, but there's so many ways that I could see powerful ways for incorporating women to incorporate these cards, not only in their own life, but it's like what you and your partner did. Yes.
Yeah.
Of being there for each other, like a joy accountability buddies, like you did
Yes.
for the 15-minute pause.
Yes.
The
Yes.
same thing, because guess what? Life will always be pulling us. And when we have a joy accountability buddy, right?
Yes.
A joy journey buddy, then I believe, like, even if it was 21 days, how many cards are in the deck?
48.
Yeah. So like, do you see how like you can make this so much fun? But I love the idea of a circle. So I'm excited to continue following you to learn more about your retreats and everything else coming up. And I'm excited to say that Michelle, and I'm going to attempt this. Come on, Michelle, please. I don't want to desecrate a name. Please say your name.
Lilomini.
We'll be co-writing an article for Aspire magazine, August, September issue. I am so excited, Michelle. So let's talk about, we know joy makes a busy day better, right?
Yes.
But how is that? Help our listeners understand how they may think they're too busy for joy, but it's actually the exact opposite.
That's right. Oh, I love the way you just said that. It's one of those things where it's like taking the lunch break during your day, or stepping outside, in your busy day. I can't tell you how many times I felt this way, where I feel like my tush is glued to my seat at my desk, like that I physically can't move sometimes. And I really have to remind myself, Michelle, if you get up and get out the door, just even for 5 minutes, that's going to change the way I'm thinking right now. So if I'm stuck, that's the best time to get up and move. That's the best time to go get a glass of water. Go, like I said, take a walk outside. Do something that, even if it is for just 5 minutes or 15 minutes, that makes a difference. It changes your, again, the science behind all this is when you do something you really love and enjoy, it changes your brain chemistry. It immediately releases those happy hormones, the serotonin, the endorphins, the dopamine. All those things get released when we're doing something, not all of them at the same time, but when we're doing something that brings us joy, that we genuinely love. That's what changes in our brain. And that allows us to then have a better outlook on whatever project we were just working on, right? And that is what really makes a difference. And not only that, but that positive energy then spreads to other people around you.
Oh, like you said, joy is contagious. It's so true. For me, I have all little things throughout the day. I never like consciously name them joy things. It's just I know what I need to stay. I serve so many people. I have amazing clients and the radio shows and brands. So it's really important to me that I always stay spiritually and energetically recalibrated. But now I'm going to have, that's going to be my new name, right? It's like, this is my joy gem. Like one of the things I do is, I can see it right from here, is I have a beautiful mandala coloring book and the markers are right next to it. So after I've been on a lot of calls, I will take 15 minutes or even sometimes 5 just to color in it. Right? I have audio meditations that I will pop in. For some of them are like 8 minutes, some are 14, and I just sit back. Oh, and I put on my essential oils, and it's like a 15-minute spa break.
I love that.
And a big thing for me, and my audience knows because then I always share the pictures. As I shared off air, I live in the middle of the woods on a beautiful spring-fed pond. We have a private beach down there. I end every single day, me and my honey, as he closes his day, we meet usually between 4 and 4:30. He's like, you ready, baby? I'm like, I'm ready. And we go sit on the Adirondack chairs just to be. We hold hands, we eat potato chips. God knows why we have this habit of bringing the potato chips with us, but it's been a habit for a year now. And we just listen to the birds. We just be. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we don't. That's what you're talking about. Those moments and those rituals that bring us back to our center.
Yes. And you know what you're talking about too, that I really love is how intentional it is.
Very.
The other piece that I think is so powerful about what you're talking about is that you're not only is it intentional in the beginning of you saying, this is what I'm going to do. And some of us don't recognize that in the moment. The other piece of it that makes it more powerful is when we're in that moment, we say, I'm recognizing this moment, that this is something that genuinely brings me joy. Wow, this is really, it's having the appreciation and gratitude for that moment that you're having, whatever it is that you're doing. And that helps cultivate that internal joy that we were talking about earlier.
Oh, it's a big one for me. And I want to be really transparent to all the listeners. It was not always this way for me. I was a chaser, a striver, a pusher, 14, 16-hour days, never took time to even breathe.
Yeah.
And when I was building my first business, didn't even know what inner peace was. And the reason I want to share that, Michelle, is a woman's listening like, oh, that's so easy for Linda. That's so easy for Michelle. No, darling. I
right.
had to just keep incorporating new things in my life and focus on how I wanted to feel, not where I was. So I just wanted to add that caveat because I want women to know it is possible.
Yes.
It is. And I wasn't always intentional. I wasn't always aware of my joy moments. Now I am, my whole brand is about intentional life, intentional business, right? So
Yes.
for me, that was a learned trait. So even though I can witness it now and know that, it wasn't always that way. And I just wanted to give our listeners, Michelle, as it wasn't always that way for you, correct?
That's right. And you just said something, again, it's a practice. I still get stuck. Like I said, literally my chair, I sometimes can be sitting in my chair for hours and forgetting to get up and go. And I love dancing in the kitchen with my little sweet dog, JD, sometimes. And I'll turn the music on and that will shift my energy immediately. And that just makes me smile. Or, right, like it is, again, the small things. It doesn't have to be some big, huge thing that we have to do, or we don't have to go take an hour in order for it to matter. And I think that's also part of the thing that I hope our listeners can hear is that it isn't about taking an hour and going to the gym if you're wanting to exercise, or if you can do that, great. But the idea here is that make it easy for yourself.
Yes, exactly. And for me, like we can get in our sunrise walk. We do that walk around the pond in the mornings. Some mornings we could easily say, okay, he looks at his schedule. He's a contractor for 50 years. And then my schedule, we could easily say, well, we don't have the time. Some days it's 20 minutes. Some days it's 40, right? But
Yes.
why are we going to give up that beautiful way to start our day? Now, sometimes Mother Nature doesn't let us do it, but when it's our choice, we're being really intentional, going, babe, 20 minutes. And because once we get out there, sometimes we walk in silence. It's so beautiful and peaceful.
Mhm.
So just take the space that you have, start somewhere.
That's right. And that's why the buddy system also, if you're really struggling, find somebody that wants to do it as well. It doesn't have to be the same thing, but that you guys would empower each other like Lalamini and I did for each other. I mean, there were days when we forgot or we made an excuse. And the other person, instead of beating ourselves up, we would go, okay, I missed a day. And the other person would go, that's all right. You're going to do it tomorrow. And sure enough, and when you have to tell somebody, yeah, I did it.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
helps.
and I love the idea of the joy buddy system, because I think especially right now, the way the world has been.
Yeah.
I have another question for you. Like, so you had the Energy Catalyst group, you have a leadership coach, you work in a lot of corporations. Are you also now with this whole message of 15-minute pause, the retreats, the joy cards? Do you also see yourself working with women on the path to self-discovery, women who maybe are not in corporate America?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So are you already doing that, or that's the way you're heading? Just so my audience knows.
Well, it's interesting. I love to coach women in particular who are interested in being more intentional about their lives and wanting to experience not just more joy, but be their best selves. And so, you know, I do life coaching as well as coaching in the corporate sector for sure.
That's wonderful. And I want to invite everyone again. It's energycatalyst.com/joy-cards. When you get there, you will learn, be able to grab a deck of the cards for one, but you will also learn about upcoming retreats and their book, 15-minute pause. So I want you to stay connected with Michelle because we need this. We all need this. And I love when you get there, I love the graphic at the top, choose joy, right? And the colors. And I want to talk about the artwork. I didn't know before you shared it with us that that's all her personal artwork. Even the box, the image on the box just speaks to my heart. So,
Yes.
wow, I am blown away that that's all her personal artwork. And I am so grateful, as we all are, that she picked up the paintbrush again.
Oh, I know, I hear you. And it's a funny story because when I first visited her in the UK, there was all these there was this thing sticking out from underneath her bed, and I pulled it out and I went, oh my gosh, what is this? It was all these paintings she had under the bed. And I said, wow, whose are these? And she said, they're mine. I was like, what? I mean, yeah. And the
Like,
fact that
what are you doing hiding them?
exactly. And the fact that she's self-taught and now she does, she sells her artwork worldwide and people can commission, a piece from her. It's extraordinary. She's extraordinarily gifted. It's like it's a gift. She has a gift.
Well, I have to tell you that 48 original paintings, all crafted onto these fun activity cards. And I got to tell you, you're going to be inspired and motivated so you can experience more happiness daily. Michelle, I am so grateful that you were able to join me today to share this message. It's such an important one. When we're going through darkness, pain, and struggle, it's so important not to lose sight of the joy, blessings, and the things we do have to be grateful for in our lives because they are there. We just got to stay open to them.
That's exactly right. Thank you so much. And I so appreciate you having me on your show.
Well, the honor's mine, my friend, and I'm look forward to staying connected.
Me too.
And again, that's energycatalyst.com/joy-cards. Until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness. Blessings.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.